Hey, my name's Seb, and welcome to The Beginner's Guide by Davey Vreen. It's on Steam. I already know The Beginner's Guide, but for those who don't know The Beginner's Guide, I'm gonna play this game. I'd even suggested playing yourself, but yeah, let's just, captions, sound quality high. Let us just begin with The Beginner's Guide. This is, you could say, a walking simulator, but like, it's more storytelling. It's like an interactive, not even very interactive video. So let us just begin. Please make sure audio is on, yeah? Of course. Oh, by the way, I know already The Beginner's Guide very well.
Hi there.
But
Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is.
Games
And
are a
that's
work of
exactly
art.
what we're going to do here.
Games are a work of
It's
art.
2008. Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet. He just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made.
You could
Until
just
suddenly
learn.
one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com.
Over in the comments.
Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
You could also just write your theories into the comments, you know? I mean, while watching the video, you know, you could just write a comment, you know? Well, episode. Oh.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift to structure imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Alright. Sounds good. Whisper machine. Status active. Evacuate immediately.
You can click to fire the gun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a really nice game. Well, it's more of an experience more than anything. It's a game, but walking simulator. It's a work of art, you could say. More than other games already, you know?
It kind of looks
with
like this
E,
game was
too.
abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere.
Uh-huh.
But then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
Weird.
But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is.
Oh.
And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
I guess. I mean, it's weird, you know. You should also talk about what it's not.
I love how you can see the bottom of
Oh.
the universe from this room.
Yeah. We're at the bottom of the universe. It's actually kind of cool idea, honestly. I actually also make my own private games that I don't really intend on releasing. I have my works folder where I just put random small stuff which are too personal to just release, you know. I'll never let's play them either.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Why?
Okay. This is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Okay, cool. Oh, look.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all.
Who's the
That
voice
thing is
actress?
powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing
Is that
a regular
Coda?
heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Who's the voice actress? I've always asked myself that, like, who's the voice actress? Is that Coda? You know?
Let me pause here for a second.
Okay.
What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level.
Yeah.
But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Alright, let's go. Woo! Wee! Wee! Ah! Oh, look, the labyrinth. Huh? Yeah?
The beam causes you to start floating.
Okay, wait a second.
And this is an important
Right.
moment for it. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda
That's a
identifies
good
something
maze.
human about it. Like how small
Really good
it makes
maze.
you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but
It makes
what's
everything
clear
quite
is that
small.
after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
I mean, I'll be honest, it could also be that they couldn't fix the bug, you know? Everyone behind her. Everyone hates. If you can't fix a bug someday, you're just gonna give up.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
I want to say and left and right, but nope.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Becomes clear when she. It's again she. But if the future's always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that.
Could have put
Which
on
to
each
me
stereo.
is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
It could have been a nice stereo game. Welcome to Slender. You're not entering now. Oh boy. Now we're gonna see the big white man.
that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Alright, sure. Nonsense.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Nonsense in nearly
I
every
wish I'd
direction.
known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
I want to explore a little bit. Does anything maybe?
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
Okay, sure. Oh, there's also a wall. So you can't fall down like I would, likely. What? What? Sound design can really make something. Oh god, how does sound design wow. Well, he was right, nothing is over there. But over there...
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Okay. By the way, when I was playing through this game like the second time or something, I actually have decided to not press enter. You can reach it, but you're still extremely slow. Walk around talking. A key in one.
A room that's warm and nice
Okay,
and
where
filled
you have
with
the screen.
little ideas for games.
There you go. Yeah, basically my
Coda would often
brain.
tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
A game where you click. By the way, the key of the door unlocks in a different game. That's an idea of a game I want to make someday. I don't know if I got it accidentally from this game, but I didn't intend to like steal it there. Anyway, ready, set, fish! Oh boy, let's go.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
I'm not gonna waste your time
Don't
by
forget
pretending
that
I don't
solution,
know it.
because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Let's go.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough.
Yeah?
Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Well, the textures are it. Whoa.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
This game is not made for you. Right? 2009. Talia was still making music. Anyway. You know, exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game.
Does it?
There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in. Some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them.
I feel like most of them are just tests.
We can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
I mean, I guess that's fair, but I feel like most of them are right now just tests. A great and lovely descent.
Let's talk about video game development for a second.
Alright.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Can confirm. I can confirm that. This is a work of art.
Available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Yeah, this is a work of art right here, because doing something like this is kind of hard. From just boxes and shit, you know? Yeah. What can I say? That must have taken hours. Yeah. I feel like that was just another attempt at just a test. It's a test, you know? To see if you can that you can do it. Just a test if it works well or not well, or if you even can do it, if you should go like this or just import models, you know? I don't know, that's what I interpret, because this game is not meant to be released, you know? Okay. What is the sounds? Thank you, sir.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Maybe that was a test to see how triggers work, because in video games, at all, things just instantly usually snap, at least in Game Maker it's like that. Having a timer requires a variable to count up until a certain point. It's also in Lure. Well, I tried using create your frisk by making an attack. The bullet pattern in Lure, you need to have a number that goes up if you want to stop it at a certain point. So maybe they tried doing that in the Source engine to see how that would work out. for an hour, for
This is
example.
something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
He fucking trolled you. That's actually something I'm actually doing. That's in my work folder, actually. It's not all in the same engine. Actually, it's a test whether or not the engine actually works well. My work folder has a rule that it has to be a standalone exe that you can just open up, you know? So I have my work playable game thing that is a test with Godot, because you can just export it into an exe. I love that. And a Game Maker Studio folder, which is also just... And both of them just a box room with walls, a floor, and that's it. Because I want to test out, okay, how well does 3D work? Because I want to make 3D games slowly. Because I've been stuck with 2D games. Because that's the easier method, you know? Yeah, so yeah. Introduce this gag here. But yeah, I feel like he tried making a point. Would have been funny. I would have probably made one where it's like a gag, like, you are an idiot, kind of thing. What are these 3 dots?
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
I think it's just very cool. I find the puzzle very unique. Maybe he wants to use it. Maybe he wants to make a game, like a full-fledged game. But first he has to learn how to make things work, you know? How to make games work. What makes a game, you know? Putting all these ideas into test projects to see how it's just gonna work out, you know? Hello?
Yeah there. Did you come from above?
Coda
Which
begins
was up
using a
there?
kind of
What was up there?
dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Maybe that was also like a test. I like how everything is just a blocky thing, you know? These are just not models, these are just objects. Anyway, yeah, I think that might be a test on how chat messages, how to make in-game dialogue. Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Well, an hour.
That's the one above. You've been there. Now this is important. You get through the puzzle with the 2 dots switch.
Yes, I did.
Ah, again, perfect. Now please tell us how you've solved that solution.
Trust me, you don't want to go to...
I know, but I do. We do. We need to get out of here. Do you understand the most important? You have to try to escape prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there's nothing I want more.
Feels like a test. I mean, yeah, it's still weird, but it feels like a test.
How did you get here? Was that puzzle you had to pass through?
No, I've been here the entire time.
I suggest you see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be saw, but you can sit back, black space in the middle.
Who are you?
Just go hang out there in the blackness a bit. It's more like first grow to you eventually.
Okay, weird. Didn't even say who they are.
And And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Okay. I like how he says level, cause that's how Source games work. These are levels here. That's why you can import them into literally anything. These are levels. A lamppost.
It's a lamppost.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something.
Okay.
He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have a destination, don't you? Maybe you just made sure this test, thought like, alright, that's a good level, honestly. And then just decided, yeah, I'm gonna put an end to it. The game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. Alright, let's see. Nice room. Not. I think it's nice. What the fuck you mean?
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda.
Alright.
This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me.
He?
And I cooled off eventually.
Yeah. I feel like he's trying to see if he can put himself into the mindset of maybe the internet itself, because the internet is, as a collective, actually predictable? I don't know how you can say it. You can emulate the internet well if you try hard enough. There's a game called Streamer Overdose, or however it's called. And it actually emulates the internet quite well. Hello! Like it is saying at the beginning, just putting hater notes. It makes sense.
Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness.
Why?
I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
I don't
But
agree.
it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing.
Huh?
I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
That's weird. We're running out of space, so we'll suffocate. Cool Kevin, dude. I don't know if I should skip over all of them, you know, but like... Ugh. Too much reading. Yeah, I feel like he's just trying to emulate maybe the internet, you know? The internet is full of mean people. But also, it's kind of weird too. I have to give it to him. This is all kind of weird still. Like, I don't know, maybe it's a test, but also that's a lot of work for a test. You know? Writing all these notes. It's a little too much for a test. But also, isn't this for a game jam? Makes game include score, cannot open door. Open sesame! New room. Do you hear the chimps keep going, don't they? Scared of writing something. Don't want to feel judged. Mood. A game where you leave notes and suddenly everyone's a poet. This is where I get off. G-Man. It is an actual reference, by the way, to G-Man. It's a Half-Life reference. Stop timer. Take my hand, we'll jump together. Ah! There's a wall. But yeah, give a chat message, suddenly everyone's a poet, yeah. Mood, yeah. That's weird. Yeah, this is a note. I'm not... Okay, what do these say? Today I learned you cannot fall off. Ethical. Okay, I will for a second was a little... I saw a person walking down there. Now it won't come back. Stanley? Devil Tower Star. That doesn't have to be too concerning, honestly. Maybe I'll feel real someday as a reference, probably likely that no one's surreal. I'll ignore them.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
What?
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
I feel like he thinks that the puzzle's a bit harder than you'd think.
Because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he just has problems trying to fit the puzzle into a game. Yeah, I think he wanted to make an actual game this time, but he couldn't figure it out. Then again, this is a game jam, isn't it? That means he actually showed it to people. Yeah, this is a game jam. It isn't too weird that he has written so many notes.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kinda just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
That was accidental. But yeah, I think the last one makes sense that it has so much work in it, because this was for a game jam, wasn't it? That's how they met, you know? I think now he's going back to just trying out games, you know, that he'll never release, because they're tests, you know?
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Okay. What furniture? How about a TV? That's a very good TV. Okay, now. Washing machine, yeah? Ah, wonderful washing machines. Yeah. I think we should light up this room a bit. Tesla Kreuz. A skylight for. Yeah, that. Ah, that's great, yeah. And a table, you need a table. What are you doing? Pretty sure not. Tables were invented in 1935. Hey.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Yeah. Can be cool.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Okay. Hello, please walk forward. This guy will help you, prison environment. Please follow instruction carefully, take each step. First click on the table. Good, go over to the photo frame, click on... Is that like his... or her... or their... like autograph thingy? Like, made by me? Now turn the floor off and turn it back on. Now go to the left sofa. No. Finally touch the shelf. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start. Okay.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
That's good.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them.
That's a good idea.
I think it's awful to watch this. To see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on?
Why?
But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going.
I have an RPG theme idea that I have been working on since 2016. Not 2016, since I was 16. I'm now 22 and I have this RPG idea.
And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
I have this RPG idea. Now that you can understand me, I have this RPG idea that I've been working on since I was 16. It has this interesting theme. And I've been refining and refining, and I wanna someday work on it. Firstly, I work on a different RPG where I just do whatever I think is right. And then I work on this RPG that has this interesting tone that I love, that I wanna get out there someday. You know? So if that's his prison and my RPG, you know, I don't see much wrong with it. Oh, I love this perspective. It's so good. That's so good. Hello? Who's this? Hey, it's me. I'm you. After the prison escape. I'm sorry if it's so... You, me? You see we're trapped in prison too? Uh-huh.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, escape
And
door.
so this is what Coda
That's
wants.
why I'm right now.
Is to be able to talk to someone. To
I'm
share
so
what's
glad
on
you know
his
how I
mind,
get out
and to
eventually.
get some good advice from
Why is it
someone
like
who
to
knows.
escape?
But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
I feel like I'm completely... Do you feel any different? It could be that he would put it at the very end of his game. Like, just putting the level, like combining all prison ideas into like maybe one. But he never finished it, maybe. Some things I'm scared of. I'm like, it actually does change. I don't feel like I'm the person at all. Oh, good. That's so nice to hear. Makes me feel really happy. Yeah, H does that, you know. Wait, if you're me and you get yourself a different version, you were trapped. Yeah. Let's keep it a loop. Let's keep it a loop. What did they tell you? Get out. All they told me was to be sincere, dude. Let's talk to me for a while. What? That freed you? How does that work? Just talk to me. I'm bullshitting them. Okay, I can talk. Let's just talk for a bit. Will you be there? Will you be here? I'll be here for as long as you need. You can interpret it, of course, in very weird ways. That's true.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration,
Obsession?
just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay.
Obsession?
Wouldn't that be nice?
I wouldn't call it obsession, I guess.
So what
Kinda?
would it
I
look
don't know.
like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Oh, sorry. Oh, look, there's the door. No one ever turned around in a Let's Play like in this Let's Play. I didn't know that there was this door. Is there something missing? I actually don't know. Like, I don't even pretend. I don't know.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a
Oh.
dark transitional space between.
How did I never...
Oh, goodness. I'm glad as heck that you shut up. That might have been clean the entire house all by myself.
Right, miserable that would have been. Everyone knows loans on hands make loosey houses. Don't worry about me, a place like this is
You'll
nice.
notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual
I'm a
polish
vampire.
of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Runton. Ah, yes. You enjoy being a house cleaner? Well, yeah. I'm thinking right now because I'm seeing it now from a different perspective. I'm 22 right now, you know, and I've been working on games that never have gone anywhere. Maybe they're just trying to find the right game they can make. I had problems. I still have problems making a real game. The only game I was able to finish was Bit Jump that I brought out. That's like an actual game, and I only was able to do that because me and a friend were trying to make a game in like a week. Didn't work out, of course. But I still have problems actually finishing a game, you know? And yeah, I'm having problems finishing a game. Like a long game, you know? Bit Jump is long for me, half an hour. If you're good.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful. I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it.
It's a good
This
game.
was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy. All
Because
the
he's
time.
able to
Just
finish
walked
something.
around with a constant smile on his face.
I would be happy too. Because I'd be... he's finishing something. You know? Oh, the rock. Right, thank you. I'd also be happy. Earlier when I said a really cheap thought, I was gonna say that Kurt me one that wants us to take care of and takes care of you. I don't know why it's so weird to say that. There's a bit of truth in there. Anyway, so housekeeping. I feel like this game is more than a house cleaning game. It's also about learning about the person, you know, the house cleaner, you know. I feel like this game has a message of self-help, you know.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
He was gonna get it out, but then he got another, what's it called? Artist block, you know. And he couldn't finish it.
But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
I wanna say something, but I can't get out the right words. This doesn't feel like the dark space. This feels just like two doors, you know? But then again, it could be the dark space because there's no dark space in between there. there is a theme there. Like in my games, there are also always themes like that go from game to game. It's just a personality. If you put your personality into a game, the games are all kind of similar. They have this handwriting, you could say. So I feel like maybe this actually is a dark space because there's no dark space in between. And if this is the dark space, let's say hypothetically this is the dark space, what does it actually mean? If it doesn't mean that you're in a dark place. What if it's an inhabitable dark space? Because dark spaces aren't usually inhabitable in Coda's games. Should I even think about it too hard? It feels like I should, because at some points you shouldn't, but like this it feels like you should. If it means something. Because I know well from mine it means something. I don't know if my English makes sense for you all, but if you can decode it, you get what I mean.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
Doesn't feel like it. Items you love
This
at membership
one gets a
only
bit
price.
goofy.
Why do we come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. You came here to become perfect. This workshop's going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life to look at you and think, wow, this is better human being than I am. Right now, what do you think about a way of life? What do you know is feel develop as a person and make you feel disconnected with yourself? Compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful, and you try to make a perfect. Perfection easy within your grasp. And the question is how to do it? Well, you do it effortlessly. It's easy. It's so easy. It's so easy.
About halfway through the game,
Being
the perspective
perfection
shifts.
is effortless. This is the key. I achieved
And you
an
play
effort.
as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Yeah. I feel like this means that a message to Coda that you don't have to make it perfect. I don't know. That's all I get from this. Well, let me tell you right now, if it isn't effortless, then it is not the right answer. If you're torturing yourself trying to find the right solution for your life, you're not doing it right. Seek out the only thing, the easiest, simple path forward. There's no proof, there's no path. Do what is easiest, do what is simple, feel what is true. Nothing, no one. It's coming again, I can destroy you.
I fell pretty hard for this one.
Perfection.
I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
I'll be honest, Coda
I
could
think
have.
about this game a lot these days.
I'll be honest, Coda could have released that game on itch.io or something,
This
you
one
know?
took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make.
How
It
old
was
is
4
this?
months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this. And it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Taking breaks. You don't have to be perfect. But itch.io. Let's say it's 2009. Itch.io. Website. How old is itch.io? Wikipedia. 2013, okay, no. There was no reason for him to bring it out if it's not on itch.io. Or Game Jolt. I don't know. But you get what I'm... He could have released that other game. Like, for real. Just a little project, you know? Like, the other games he shouldn't have released ever. They're just not... They're just tests, tech demos, you know? Alright, the performance is beginning. Please. In this scene you will be playing as me. We are the gathering of professionals. First of you start leaning against this wall. Ooh. Good, stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's a dream to photograph animals professional. It's a chance to learn something from her, gain something to succeed. Go on, say something to her. Hello. Hello? That's it? That's not a conversation. You need to actually converse with her. Be a human being. Do it again. I like you. No. That's not what I said at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's what you need to better feeling settings. There were a lot of people around us. I give you a proper work with it. These codes bounce. You must have worked really hard to get where you are. You're messing it all up again. You'll figure out with the conversation and get personal quickly. You do not realize how important it was for me. I'll never get another opportunity like this again. Everything was riding on this. Then why don't you do it again? Okay. Oh! Yes, yeah! Okay, yes, now this is working, that's what I like.
Eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life.
What?
The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer.
I don't think...
But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
I don't think... To play this game probably need to clear... Okay. I'm having my eyes closed. Okay. I can't see anything. What's going on? I don't see anything. Oh, okay. Let's try again, I guess.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
Oh, okay. Help, I'm blind! Please, someone talk to me. The only way to stop... I'm blind. What's going on? And the only way to stop it is to speak something that's honest. I'm bursting with creativity. That's not true. Okay. Oh. Shit. Okay. I don't know. I'd love to see the recording where I'm just walking around blindly. The only way to can't make. Yes, that's a true. Oh. I'm out of
Like I
ideas.
said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
I mean, that honestly
His games
is
are going to
yeah.
get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. He's helping himself. Self-help. Hello? This island coming from? And where did this island come from? Is that a person? How lovely. It's been long since I've talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. I'm completely out of ideas. I mean, game making is hard, so I understand it took a while. Oh no! What happened? Did something change? I'm trying to find this engine I'd used to protect me. To start again. I mean, I don't agree with Davey that there's... You look from... I don't agree with reading that he's like absolutely mentally ill, but I feel like there is something with him. You don't usually make a game that expresses how you feel because that's a lot of work, you know? Usually, I say. Everyone's different. So, I don't know. You have to take me to it. Sure,
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle,
I pressed 3.
frustration, anxiety, depression, even.
I wouldn't
And
say...
yet still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore.
I wouldn't say depression, I
Why?
would say
What is it for?
frustration.
Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Why do you draw? Why does one create anything? It's to create. If someone wants to make a game, it's weird because games are a lot of work. At most being the only developer. But if you want to make a game just for yourself and not release it, that is fine. I'm doing an RPG Maker 2003 that I'll likely never release. I was kind of inspired by Coda. First you have to open the door. First you have to close the door. But the door's already closed. You have to close the door. The door's still closed. You have to close the door. Okay. You have to press the switch on the inside. You have to press the switch inside. Okay. It's not so dark anymore. You have to press the switch inside.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
What if it's not loneliness? I mean, I guess a little bit of loneliness, but I feel like this game is more about frustration and trying to... I feel like he was trying to find a way through the making of this game, finding an answer for himself. It might not be the perfect answer, but maybe just making an answer. I know I'm like always against the saying whatever against Davey. I realize that myself. Maybe Davey is right. Maybe there's something weird with him. I don't agree with that. Game making is not simple. But wasn't true. I mean, that is true. Not during the process, but still.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do
can
this to
see
himself,
that.
and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about, and I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop. After finishing this one,
Why a woman?
Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
Why a woman? When Davey says he, I'm not even trying to, like, I'm not even trying to say, like, there's gonna be a plot twist. And no, I don't know. No one talks about this. Why a woman? Why is Coda represented by a woman? When Coda is a he, by Davey Vreden's words. I need a moment to think. At the most because I feel like the last game was a vent game. Which people do. I think. There's event art, so there's like event game likely. Hello, God. Ma'am. The machine. I intend to be brutal. Very good. Does you want someone called press so we might... It consists of... It. So Coda is a machine. We're playing as a woman. Coda is not the name of the person. You'd think that the person would be then. Are we playing as two parts of... Are we, the player here, a part of Coda, the real person who's over there, the persona Coda who's making the games, the machine? You stopped.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stopped feeding us. This will out there, you imagine any of us could... Or what if we're playing as... I'm gonna stop myself here. Been so lonely. Apologize for leaving me. No, nothing. Alright then, I will apologize to the person on your behalf. My friends. Before I have a troubling revelation. The machine refuses to admit it deliberately had us. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us show that we are not failures. Follow me. It will destroy everything machine has created. Coda, I'll make sure your work dies, sir. Isn't that what you're scared of? Having to live
So now
without
the
your
work is
precious
becoming
creation?
self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realized that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work? So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games.
You
I
stole?
brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give them some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
After or before Because if it's before, it would make more sense that he made this game. Put down your weapon.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011.
You stole
and
the games.
I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
The Tower. I feel like you shouldn't have shared those games.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, The Tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
He's angry at you. You shouldn't have shared those games. You even shared a vent game. Multiple.
This room actually has a maze in it.
Oh.
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise. So the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played. It actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
That wasn't good for my migraine that I had this morning. Yeah. I had a migraine this morning. Ah, my head. I wanted to say it at the beginning of recording. Ah. I'll live. I'll live. Ugh. By migraine, I mean I even puked. Like 3 times in a row. I got better, and then this maze happened. Yeah, I'll survive. Let's jump down!
It's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
For you to fuck off? Or to actually try?
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
A little fun fact, I watched a video about the beginner's guide, trying to explain everything and shit. I like, even if I already made up my own mind with this, I like to hear other people's thoughts. You can solve this puzzle. Maybe you can search for this video yourself. It's a video essay about the beginner's guide. You can solve this just by playing the other games. I don't know how, but like you can. That like the numbers are based off stuff, you know? Shit. I wish I could make games like Coda. Oh well, Davey Vreen. Ah, my ears. And this tower is weird. You can't jump off. I wonder why. Why?
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first two challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely.
What?
Just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem.
What?
I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door.
Sometimes I feel like this too, but yeah, it is how it is. Sometimes there's just no way to needing to fix it, you know?
Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person.
Yeah.
I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them...
You don't know people. Ever. You know a side of them, but you don't know the person. Unless the person straightforward says to you, you know me. And even then, you might not know them. Not everything. Of all people, I feel Yellow knows me the best. Of
I
everyone.
had been trying to, though. That was the thing.
And even then, not
For
fully.
years, I was trying to get to know him, to
I think.
understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
Because it's personal? You can't know a person entirely. That's private stuff. You just know a person by how much they're willing to share. And a person never wants to share everything. Too much private stuff. And it's not your deal. It's not what you should be dealing with. Amazing sound design, by the way.
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me.
You should talk to a therapist.
But he stopped and left. And it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
I'd be honored if someone were to make a game for me. Dear David, thank you and trust game. I need to ask you not to speak to me anymore.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
Yeah? Well cleaned. I
I
wonder.
don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
I wonder at times whether you think I'm making these games for you. No, from what I see, and I could be wrong, David could be right. That he was at first, or she, or whatever, they were at first making games as like testing. Then they make the game jam, which was like trying to trick people into think this game's online, you know. Then, and then at the end it reveals, oh, it's just typewriters. It's just coder themselves. Then they were making more tech demos. Then they noticed, oh, my games are being stolen. I need. Then they were making more tech demos, trying to make their own games. They were happy when, hey, you see, I'm making these. I made this game. You see this? I made this. Look, Davey, I made this game. I'm so happy with the cleaning game because they're actually able to finish something now. And then they are getting burned out. And then, yeah, Davey, it happened. Interpreting stuff. Yeah.
And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
You've so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions work somewhere hidden between games. If there was an answer, a meaning, would it make you any happier? Would you stop taking my games and showing them people against my wishes? Giving them something that is not yours to give, violating one boundary keeps me safe. Could you stop changing my games, stop adding lampposts to them? Yeah. I wouldn't be happy either.
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing.
What
does that mean?
Would you simply let them be what they are? When I'm around you, I feel physically ill. You desperately need something that I cannot give you. Give it to you. I literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just, yeah. I wouldn't say he was depressed, I'd just say he was burned out. Burnout can happen to anyone. And you need to take care of yourself then. Do something else. The fact that you think I am frustrated or broken says more, yeah. I don't think you can trust both Coda and Davey, though. I realize that it doesn't make any sense to you just yet. Which is fine. Not my problem to solve. But I do hope one day it clicks that you make peace with this thing you're wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
When you finally see what I'm talking about, don't say anything.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please.
Oh no.
I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Epilogue. Here we have time to just think. He's gonna interrupt us a couple times, but we can think. I hope you've been writing your comment while watching this. I hope it will be cool. So my ideas, of course...
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
So, I've never been in this part. We of course see that Davy is, as the character Davy, not the Davy himself in actual real life, that Davy is not a good person. He needs someone else's work to feel good, basically. And he has hurt Coda to the point that he stopped making games by accident.
Solution.
He didn't want it to hurt Coda, basically. But Coda feels like also there was something wrong with him, her, them. I'm just gonna say them now because it's gender neutral.
Someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games. Maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
I think he was just hanging onto a idea, trying different ways to make it work, but nothing ever has worked. He wanted to make a full-fledged game that that they would release into the world, but nothing ever worked. And when it started working, Davey showed all the games to everyone, these tech demos, these ideas, and
even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
But yeah. What's behind her? A handle, okay. But yeah. I think both of them, I don't know.
if I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
I already set the timeline, so I don't think I need to repeat myself. Sorry for sounding sick.
What now?
I mean, not really anymore. It's more a migraine, but still. It's fine. I'm fine, by the way. I had way too many migraines in my life.
I need to go. And I'm sorry, because
Oh, yes, I'm better.
said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Good. So I don't know. I don't fully understand myself. I think what I said was already quite true, but it's just my idea. Many other people online have thought of something else. I'd love to see your ideas. Your interpretations of this game, you know? What's the story, you know? Because Davy is not a reliable narrator, and what Coda has said to Davy at the tower is also, I don't think, too reliable. So... how do we get up there again? Oh, there's clipping. Yeah, okay. I guess we have to go this. Okay, cool. I think Coda was a little bit weird in the head. And Davy very much. Like, Coda was still alright, while Davy just wasn't as a person. So... that's my theory. That's my 50 cents. My game theory, you know? I don't think we can duck jump. I'm gonna stop trying. We're back here. I like this game. I've played it already in total, I think now for 6 hours. Been going through it more often, you know, than once in my life. It's always the same game, but it's still very interesting. I really enjoy it. It's a really good game. I'd still suggest you all to buy it. And maybe stream it to your friends, you know? That don't know the beginner's guide. Fun fact about the beginner's guide. Davey actually thought of, for a long time about the game, the beginner's guide, and thought it fit, but no one really understands why it's called the beginner's guide. Meanwhile, people theorize a lot about the Stanley Parable, and the Stanley Parable is just something he made up. It doesn't have any meaning. Meanwhile, the beginner's guide has a lot of meaning. Or at least some meaning. There's a loading screen, yep. But a very short one.
Turn back,
4R.
turn back from this cave. You said, let me
This project would not have been possible without the following individuals: Matthew Bright, Ryan Roth, Hallian Heron, Richard Flanagan, and more people. Turn Back, written by Hallian Heron, performed by Halliana Heron and Ryan Roth. Additional thanks. Avia, okay, that's a lot of people. By those people. To those people.
So turn back. Turn back.
And that was Beginner's Guide, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it. I very much did. I love playing to this game every once in a long while. It's a really good game. It's more of an experience even. It's an art piece more than a game. It's a walking simulator, of course. I hope you all enjoyed it. Go get the game yourself, maybe stream it to your friends or something, you know? It's very good. Don't say much even. Try to act like you don't know anything. Like I did. I tried my best. I tried giving a different perspective on what Davey said. Trying to counterpoint it, you know? So that you battle kinda who means it. Because I know what's going on, but I ain't telling. I'm only telling what I see on the screen. At least I tried to do that. To 2011. Anyway, don't forget, we'll meet each other. I'll see you tomorrow.